In addition to the status quo specific milestones that I mentioned in a previous video, it's also been 15 years since many of us went out and bought on CD the second solo album by Francis Rossi, One Step at a Time. He had released his first back in 1996, but that wasn't wholly him involved in that. This is much more of a Francis-centric album. Now, I'm going to do a proper review of this album, either with a guest or solo, at a later stage. What we're here to discuss today is that many people would have bought this, the CD, but in 2010, there was also another version of the album. The cassette had long gone by this point, but just on its way up, there was a limited edition vinyl release. Now, yes, I know many Status Quo releases on many of the singles were still getting vinyl releases throughout the 2000s, but really the first major one for many years was In Search of the Fourth Chord. And after that, many albums started to be issued on vinyl again, and this is such one of them. It was a limited edition, and there is a special thing about this disc which I shall show you in a moment. I've always liked this cover, which has Francis Rossi in big blue letters with One Step at a Time, and then we have Francis sitting on a stool looking up at his own name, almost like a reflective thing. Well, he's looking at himself, isn't he? So, we've got the front cover here, and then on the back, a live image with guitar, hands in the air, classic Francis Rossi pose there, and we have the track listing, which is the same as the CD. It starts with track 1, Sleeping on the Job, then Tallulah's Waiting, Crazy for You, One Step at a Time, Here I Go, Faded Memory, Strike Like Lightning, Rolling Down the Road, Caroline, yes, that's Caroline, and finally, If You Believe. Now let's open up the middle gatefold, and what we have is a picture of Francis, which was included in the CD edition. We also have here little write-up about each song, plus all the musicians that played on this album, including Nicholas Rossi, John Edwards, Andrew Bown, and Guy Johnson. Also to note, Bob Young, Leon Cave as well, who would later join Quo. Let's open up. And in classic record style, all the lyrics on either side. Now, the special thing I was talking about, it was blue. So yeah, this is a blue disc, matches the colour of the album, of the sleeve there, and of the writing on the front. So that is what this blue disc looks like. Very fetching. Now, I haven't had a chance to listen to this yet, but I have heard the album many times because I wore my CD out when I got it 15 years ago. I'm surprised it's still working, but I've heard that it sounds very good on vinyl, and one of these days I will give it a listen and report back on the differences. But I just thought it was really interesting that at a time when vinyl was not quite as mainstream as it's now become, you know, it sort of fell by the wayside. I mean, only about 2 to 5 years previously I was picking up albums for like 50p to £1, and then suddenly around 2010 vinyl was back and growing all the time. So yeah, this is still around. You can get it quite cheaply, really, between sort of £50 and £30. But I have seen special offers recently for about £10. So yeah, that is Francis Rossi, One Step at a Time. Let me know what you think of the album. Let me know what you think of any of Francis Rossi's kind of solo material. I know when this came out, there were a lot of comments about it being perhaps Quo light, and as it says in the inside, like, there were songs that were written with Quo in mind, and there were some that weren't, and certainly things like Faded Memory, Crazy for You, Strike Like Lightning could have been Quo songs. So yeah, that is Francis Rossi, one step at a time, unboxing the vinyl. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Rate, comment and subscribe, the latter if you're new here, and I will see you again for another episode of the Quo-Cast.